Dun, 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 dun. Hey guys, it's Sweep Union. Hello everyone. This video will be split up into multiple parts. The first one is that there's a new update from Ayask on Twitter, where he talks about how the one he knows, the Russian soldier he knows from the front line, an update he has posted. Secondly, I'm going to be talking about how Kherson might be a trap. And finally, the use of Ukrainian landmines in Donbass and how they're slowing down the Russian advances. Now, firstly, the soldier he knows has said that he's been injured, which is why he has time to update right now. He's in a hospital in Belgorod. First of the most important part is the final part of this video, where this soldier talks about the landmines in Donbass and how it's slowing down the Russian advances. The way the Ukrainians are using the landmines is that they are placing it everywhere inside the villages, at the outskirts of it, and in important areas to prevent the Russians from taking over the villages. For example, Soledar is filled with it, and most likely villages on the front line like Siversk, Verkhnokamiansk, and so on are also filled with it. This makes the Russians advance very slow, as they have to remove these mines so that they don't get blown up, of course. Now, as for the situation in the south, he mentions that they are starting to think that the counteroffensive in Kherson is a distraction, and that in reality they might counterattack in, for example, Izium, Zaporizhia, and so on, like a different place. Now he mentions that he saw tons of T-90s, T-80s, Meta-S, and Pions, which are artillery, and tanks and artillery, moving to the south and southeast, which probably means that they are reinforcing their efforts in Donbass instead of pouring everything into Kherson to defend. Now, here he says that HIMARS haven't really decreased the Russians' shelling at all, but the way that the Russians are changing their use of shelling is by focusing on specific areas. For example, Bakhmut has been under constant fire non-stop for weeks now. So by focusing all the artillery in a single place, they can intensify it and make it so that it doesn't stop. You don't take breaks, because when someone takes breaks, takes a break, someone else takes over. Now and then he talks about how the rations are. He says that the Russian rations are proper, while the Ukrainians are running out of proper food, and some of the Ukrainians are deserting because of the lack of food, as they go and find Russians with a lot of food, so they go and eat with them and surrender. Now, I'm not sure about how credible this is. This could be biased, but it does sound legit with how descriptive it is. And then finally, about the conscripts being used, he does mention that there was conscripts at the start of the invasion. That is most likely to mask the invasion, as the West knows that Russia can't use conscripts in their army, and they have to use professional soldiers. So they may have sent conscripts with the regular soldiers as a mask to mask the invasion. And then, due to some error at the time, they probably accidentally involved the conscripts in the invasion itself. But he does mention that now it's currently only volunteers and professional soldiers. And then about why they don't have phones in the front lines, it's because of the Starlink satellites. They track down, and the Ukrainian artillery will be able to shoot at the locations of Russian telephones. And that's it for this update. Now, why I think that Kherson might be a trap for the Ukrainians by the Russians, but also a distraction from the Ukrainians for the Russians by the Ukrainians. Now, why it could be a trap is mainly because of the topography. You see, this whole area is mostly flat. If you compare it with any other area, for example, Nikolaev, further north, everywhere there's valleys and rivers and everything, but here it's mostly flat, which allows the Russians to have a proper view. If you take an example, this is basically the average fields in Ukraine. There are a forest line. There's a forest line everywhere that's connected, so the soldiers can just move in between those trees and don't want to be spotted. And for example, if you have a position here and you have to look that way, you can't look past the tree line. However, this is how it looks like around Kherson, where it's mostly flat and there are no forests and so on. If you aren't sure, you can look down at the satellite view. The tree lines are extremely thin and far in between. For example, here, if they have a position here, they can look all the way here, which is probably 1 or 2 kilometers. So by using this area as a trap for the Ukrainians, if the Ukrainians try to advance, the Russians will have a good view of them while staying hidden themselves in the few patches of forest lands there are. So whenever the Ukrainians have to advance, they'll be open to artillery fire and tank fire, anti-tank guns, and so on. So this is the best position for the Russians to fight the Ukrainians. Now, how this could be a bait from the Ukrainian side will be because if they have been talking about a counteroffensive in Kherson for a very long time, but it's unlikely that they have the equipment necessary to pull off such a counterattack. As such, they are most likely using this as a distraction to focus in a different place, like the soldier from the Russian side mentioned. For example, if they were to fight in Zaporizhia. Now, the topography in Zaporizhia is very similar to that of Kherson. There you go. Once you pass this area where the front line is, it will be mostly flatlands all the way to Melitopol, and they will be able to cut off the Russians from their supply lines as well as from Crimea. This is a way better option than attacking Kherson from the Ukrainian side. And it is most likely the case. I completely agree with the Russian soldier on that basis. So the Ukrainians have multiple options of attack. It's all about whether or not Russia finds out about them before it happens to adequately prepare for them. And then finally, about the Ukrainian landmines in the Donbass region. You see, the conflict has been going on since 2014, so it's been an 8-year-long conflict. But there was this report in 2016, 2018 about the Ukrainian use of landmines in the Donbass region, which has continued since the invasion began and for now as well. The way these landmines work is that, for example, here in Soledar, they'll be placing these landmines in these roads around here, wherever there are intersections, as well as on the outskirts of the cities, so around here. This is to prevent the Russians from entering the city. If they go from around, they'll be open to anti-tank guns and so on. But if they go from inside, they won't have a good view, and if they use heavy tanks and so on, they will be in danger of the landmines. Even normal foot soldiers are in danger of the landmines, as they are using anti-personnel mines as well. However, this is less important, but it is still an a significant factor as to why the invasion is going this slowly. So even if, for example, the Ukrainians completely leave Solidar and leaves it for the Russians to take, it will probably take them a week or two before they have full control of the village. And that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and have a great day.